How can you crush LinkedIn ads with a small budget in 2026? If you're a new startup getting into LinkedIn, or maybe you're looking to prove ROI before scaling your budget further, this video is for you. If you're new to the channel, I'm Silvio Perez. I'm the founder of AdConversion. We teach 9,000 plus B2B marketers how to master ads, and we manage over $3 million a month in ad spend for top B2B SaaS brands. Everything I'm talking about today is my experience working in our ad agency, scaling LinkedIn accounts for our clients. The first tip I have for you is to focus your targeting. Unfortunately, most people who are new to LinkedIn, they take a meta mindset where they're trying to cast a large audience and then they're letting the algorithm do its thing and then they're doubling down like that. With LinkedIn, it's completely opposite. So for instance, instead of casting a really wide net, imagine this is your audience size. And this audience here, let's pretend like this is an audience size of, 2 million people. This is a lot, right? And unfortunately, this is also kind of a waste because with LinkedIn, the huge advantage you have compared to any other channel is the ability to be ultra precise with your targeting. Because with LinkedIn, you can target not just based on the person, but also the company, which is why when you're starting with LinkedIn, I highly recommend that you get ultra specific. And the way that we explain this to clients is the impression itself must be valuable, meaning even if we never got something directly attributable to our campaigns and how it performed, just because the brand awareness is so on point and we know it's getting in front of the people and the companies that we care about, we would be comfortable to continue running the campaigns. So what does that mean in practice? That means instead of going after an insanely large audience, you're looking for the pocket. So for instance, maybe inside this massive pool, you can go after a pool of users that's like an audience size of 30K. And this 30K represents a list of accounts plus job titles. So you're getting ultra specific. And I highly recommend when you're just getting started with LinkedIn and you have a smaller budget, you really want to make sure that you are putting yourself in a position to succeed by uploading a list of accounts, because even with LinkedIn's targeting, if you don't upload those lists of accounts, you're going to drive a lot of junk. And the reason why is because of multiple open roles. So for instance, a user can have multiple open roles on their job profile and LinkedIn will mix and match. So maybe somebody is the head of sales at their day job, but then they're also the founder of their side hustle. So in that case, that person would be eligible for founder targeting plus sales targeting. So because of that, that's why we really recommend that you put together a list of accounts, even if you're not doing an ABM. And that way you can really put yourself in a position to succeed and get impressions in front of the right people. One other thing too, I want to mention around focusing your targeting, because when you're just getting started and really when you're trying to prove ROI, especially to leadership, if they're skeptical, maybe you're like a sales-led organization, you go through events and outbound, is people don't believe LinkedIn ads work, especially because with LinkedIn, it's harder to show attribution. So in terms of focusing your targeting, another way to think about this is maybe you're in that sales-led example. Maybe you have, let's just say you have 1,000 companies that your sales team is working, and you want to prove ROI on LinkedIn with a small budget and really set yourself up in a good spot so that you can get buy-in the future and sell the story to leadership. Instead of targeting the whole 1,000 companies, basically, what you want to do is you want to create an incrementality test. So you want to create an exposed group and then a holdout group. And with the exposed group, these are the accounts that are going to receive ads, and you're going to measure the overall performance on your sales process for the ones that received ads versus the ones that don't. So in practice, what this might look like is we'll split it 500 and 500. So for example, let's say these 500 receive ads, and then the other 500, they don't receive ads, right? So what this is going to do is now this is already going to set you up in a good position where you don't have as much budget. You can't afford realistically to even go after the whole 1,000 to begin with. But what this is going to do is it's going to give you a good starting point because you're focusing your targeting, where now you can prove the impact across these 500 versus these. So now with these 500 that received ads, I would look at everything. I would look at what are the open rates from my outbound emails from the sales team with the 500 accounts that are receiving ads versus the ones that aren't? What's the response rates look like? What do the connect rates look like? How many meetings booked are we getting from these versus the other ones? How many opportunities, pipeline created, deals closed? And this will give you a lot of confidence that your ads are actually having a positive impact. Because it's one thing that we know theoretically, more brand awareness from the right people will make a business impact, but this will give you a structure to prove it. And it starts by foundationally focusing your targeting, especially in the beginning. The second tip I have is for you to stretch your small LinkedIn ads budget by using an ad schedule. So just a quick context and a visual of why this is so important is the way that you serve your ads throughout the day. So most people, when we're running LinkedIn ads, we are running ads 24 hours, 7 days a week. And unfortunately, LinkedIn doesn't have any native features that allow us to control our ad schedule. So we're going to need a third-party tool to do this, and I'll walk you through that in a second. But I just want to really stress why this is important and so you understand. So imagine this is the morning and this is the night. And realistically, your ads, they'll be done by 12 p.m. You're out of budget. And now from 12 to 5 or 12 to 12, no one's seeing your ad anymore. And the reason why this is happening is because you don't have an ad schedule in place. And also to really illustrate the importance of ad scheduling is imagine that you have $100 a day in daily budget. If you were to take that $100 in daily budget and you were to concentrate it across 5 days instead of 7 days, you could increase that daily budget by 50%, increasing it from $100 to $150. Simultaneously, if you even took it a step further and you said, you know what, I'm not going to just serve my ads instead of 5 days a week, instead of 7, but I'm only going to serve my ads, let's say from, 8 a.m. to, let's say 8 p.m. So now you're serving your ads between 8 a.m. and 8 p.m. and you're no longer trying to serve your ads 24 hours a day. So by setting up this guardrail of time, plus doing it Monday through Friday, what this means in practice is your measly little $100 a day in daily budget, you're going to increase it by 200% by focusing on concentrating your spend across 7 hours, or I should say 8 hours instead of 24 hours. So this really allows you to just supercharge the small budget you have, so you have more concentrated budget across the times of days and the hours of the day that matter most. And if you've been running ads for a while, your ads don't serve equally. So, it's not serving specific amounts at every hour of the day, unfortunately. So with an ad schedule, we can try to the best of our ability, try to control the algorithm to serve where we want it to serve. So in practice, how we're going to do this is we're going to use a tool called Sammy. This is our ad automation platform that we built. It actually started out of desperation because we needed something like this in our ad agency to scale our clients' results and our team's bandwidth. And in Sammy, what we're going to do is we're going to set up an ad schedule. So I'm going to use this ad scheduling template that we have. And let's go ahead and click on LinkedIn here. And what this is going to do is it's going to be a 2-step sequence in our workflow. And what this automation will do is at the end of the day, it's going to pause my campaigns. And then at the start of the day, it's going to enable my campaigns. So that way I'm only serving my ads between 8 p.m. and 8 a.m. And I can also adjust my schedule so I only serve my ads 5 days a week instead of 7 days a week. And if you're listening to this and you're fearful, where you're like, Silvio, I don't want to serve my ads 5 days a week because I'm going to miss out, right? FOMO is hitting you. I just want to remind you that budget is the limiting factor. If you're here and you have a really strong budget and you find your budget is not getting depleted every day by 12 p.m., then amazing. Like maybe the ad schedule isn't as important for you. But if you're like most brands that are spending less than $50K a month in ad spend, there's probably a really good chance that your budgets are getting depleted much sooner than you would like. So by setting up an ad schedule, you can try to consolidate that effort a bit more intentionally. So in Sammy, what I would do now is I would go ahead and modify this rule and I would just adjust the values here. So in this case, we have it set 7 days a week. I could do that where it only runs Monday through Friday. I can adjust my time frame, and then I could do the same thing now for my second step. So here on my second step, I would now just go ahead and mirror the days of the week, the time that I want. I would save this and I will publish it. I'm going to go ahead and link an article below that you can check out if you want a more detailed walkthrough of how to set this up. But I thought it was really important to show you how you can use tech to stretch your budget with ad scheduling. Tip number 3 is to use manual bidding. there is a known strategy on LinkedIn that experts usually talk about, and it's a floor to ceiling strategy, where basically what this means in practice is you start your bids low, and then over time you increase it in as you go to try to find the balance between reach plus cost. So essentially, when you start running LinkedIn ads, you'll notice LinkedIn gives you a suggested or recommended bid. Whatever that recommended or suggested bid is, doesn't mean that's what you actually have to bid in order to get volume of reach and, of course, get a reasonable cost. Oftentimes, that recommendation is much higher than you actually need to pay. So what people do is they'll set their bids extremely low, the absolute lowest it can be, and then they'll check their campaigns every single day, and then over time, trying to find the balance between what they're bidding, what their cost per click is, and how much they're actually spending, they'll continue to ramp the bids up manually to find the sweet spot between enough reach, but also a good enough cost. So this is a really great way for you to just effectively arbitrage LinkedIn ads and try to get LinkedIn to serve for you at a much more cost-efficient rate. However, the downside with this is it does take more manual work. So if you did want to automate the manual bidding process, you could use Sammy for that. So inside of Sammy, there is a template that you could use where you could essentially set a workflow to increase or decrease bids on LinkedIn. Just to show you guys that, it's called Magic Bidding. And what this does is it allows you to set a condition, and it'll run on a loop every single day, where basically what it'll do is it'll look at your manual bid against your average cost per click. And then if your manual bid is 90% of your average cost per click, it'll go ahead and increase the bid, and you can set the bidding variable and the bidding cap. If you want to learn more about this, I'll have a link in the description below that covers this in much more detail. But the point is, even if you do this manually, you want to set a floor bid, and then incrementally over time, you continue to increase it to find the balance between reach and cost so you can maximize your smaller budget. Just wanted to take a quick second and say, if you're loving this video, then you're going to absolutely love our free courses here at AdConversion.com. We have free courses on Google ads, LinkedIn ads, Reddit ads, and more. Seriously free. You can come check it out. If you don't believe me, check out our wall of love, where you can see all of the testimonials from past students. We're really just trying to create the go-to place to master B2B ads. So if you're interested in this, go check it out. Link in the comment below. Tip number 4 is to avoid budget dilution. Budget dilution happens when you launch too many campaigns and you don't have the amount of budget to support the volume of campaigns that you're trying to launch. This happens all the time, especially with more enterprise organizations. People have an obsession with launching campaigns. They'll just launch campaign after campaign after campaign. And then in practice, when you take their daily budget and you spread it across each campaign, maybe they only have, which is a real risk, they have like $20 a day in daily budget on a campaign, but then at the same time, their average cost per click is $15. So in this world, which happens all the time on LinkedIn, you have a $20 a day daily budget on that campaign, and then it costs you $15 a click. That means you get one click, your campaign is over, right? The amount of time that's going to take for you to accrue enough sample size is going to be forever. And you would be much better off in this hypothetical scenario. Instead of just having $20 a day on one campaign, you consolidate and you pause these other ones, and then you ramp the budget on this one, let's say from $20 a day to $200 a day. So now you can learn, 4-5x the speed because you're consolidating, concentrating your effort so you can get enough sample size in a quick enough time frame. So just to give you guys the long story short here and a general recommendation, never, ever, ever drop the daily budget of your LinkedIn ad campaign as a starting point, unless you have a good reason otherwise. I would recommend not going lower than $100 a day in daily budget. Absolute minimum $50 a day. Because if you're less than 100 or less than 50, it's just not going to give you a lot of flexibility to learn fast enough and get out of the launch phase so that now you can go into the optimization and scaling phases of your campaigns. And remember too, because this is just a starting point. Imagine, in this case, imagine I have this campaign that's doing well, and then I have these 3 other ones. And imagine I only have $200 a day to spare. What happens if this campaign starts to do well? I'm going to increase the budget, right? So you're even more restricted by budget than you realize. So as a general recommendation, just take whatever your monthly budget is, divide that by 30.4 for the average days in the month, And that amount that you get is how much you can spend per day. And then divide that amount by 50 at the absolute minimum, and then 100 as a starting point. And that'll tell you how many campaigns you can actually have and afford based on your current budget. Tip number 5 is to catch your wasted ad spend faster. When you're dealing with small budgets, especially on a channel like LinkedIn, things are expensive and you need to be fast and proactive on catching wasted ad spend, because unfortunately you just don't have the flexibility to waste money. And honestly, I think it's a good mindset and frame to have. Even when you have money, you should pretend like you don't, so that way you can be much more proactive, because it's really easy to get wasteful with your ads. And just to show you a quick example of what this looks like is, let's pretend we had one campaign. There was 5 ads in that one campaign, and our goal was to get leads for less than $100. So basically what this means is our ad must spend at least $100 before we even consider turning it off, because the goal is to get leads for less than $100. And what happens in practice is, and by the way, that's being super conservative, because realistically, you don't want to kill your ads prematurely. So what you'll do is you'll set your target to be 2 to 3x your target. So if I want leads for $100, I'll let my ad spend $200, $300 before determining it's a loser and turning it off. But let's just pretend you're being as strict as possible because you don't have a lot of budget. That means the moment the ad spends more than $100 and it doesn't generate a lead, it has to get killed. But we're not checking our ads 24 hours a day. We're busy, we're doing other things. So what happens in practice is your ad spend way over that, and you're just, the difference between 100 and whatever you spent over that is just wasted ad spend. So for example, imagine these 2 ads here didn't get a lead, but they're over our $100 target. That means I wasted, in this case, $100 here because it's $100 over my target of 100. And then I wasted $30 here. So in total, I just wasted $130 in this hypothetical example. And this is one campaign. In reality, most people are running more campaigns than this, and they're not checking their ads that fast. So that $130 turns into $300, which turns into $500. Fast forward, it turns into $1,000. And this stuff adds up dramatically fast. So if you have a small budget, you have to be even more disciplined about pausing your ads when they're underperforming, because you cannot afford otherwise. And I wanted to show you really quickly, if you want to automate this in Sammy, you can create a workflow that will check your ads every single hour. And the moment that ad exceeds your cost target without performing, it gets shut off, or at the very minimum, you get notified directly so you can shut it off. So for example, inside of Sammy, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and create a new SAM, and we've got a template to make this super fast and easy. And what we're going to do is we're going to create a SAM using this rule called non-performing ads. I'm going to go ahead and select LinkedIn for the sake of this video. I'm going to modify my rule. And what this does is it's looking over my ads in the campaigns that I would select for my customer account. And the moment the cost is greater than my target, so using the hypothetical example, the moment cost is greater than 100 and conversions are less than 1, it's going to go ahead and shut off those ads. Or at the very minimum, I can set up manual approval. So when I get notified in Slack, I have to give the last final say to Sammy saying, hey, yes, go ahead and pause these ads. It's time to kill them. So using automation, I can just streamline my efforts, right? And just waste that wasted ad spend, the gap between wasted ad spend and productive ad spend just drops even more. And for context, this will run every single hour. So 24 hours a day, your ads are being looked at. This is so important, especially when you have smaller budgets. And if you're listening to this and you're like, Silvio, I don't really care about conversions. I care about, meetings booked. As long as you have the conversion event inside of your campaigns, inside your ad manager. So in this case, I've got all of these HubSpot events. I can use that as well. So in this case, if my cost is greater than this and MQLs are less than 1, it's eligible. So you can completely modify the rule. You could even do this for awareness campaigns. And the point I'm really speaking to here is I'm not really trying to speak to just the capabilities of Sammy, but the tip itself is you need to get proactive about catching your wasted ad spend, because if you're just letting your spend waste, you don't have the budget in the first place, right? It's not going to work out for you. But just to show you here, like, even if I wasn't doing a lead generation example, maybe I was focusing on awareness, I could completely create an awareness-based rule. The point is there is a logic to when you decide what you do in your account. And if there isn't a logic right now, that's already pointing at a much deeper problem that you have to solve first. So in an awareness example, maybe I'm looking at my engagement rate, and I'm looking at if the engagement rate is less than my average engagement rate, and I have at least 1,000 impressions. So I need to spend enough money in order to generate 1,000 impressions in an awareness example so that I have productive spend, which is getting to 1,000 impressions, and then everything after the 1,000 impressions, if it's an underperformer, is unproductive spend, aka wasted spend. I hope you found this video valuable. I am rooting for you. All budgets start small and eventually they ramp up over time. So don't let a small budget scare you from LinkedIn ads. It can really be an incredible platform, especially if you're in B2B. If you can, please go ahead and give this video a thumbs up. Really helps us grow our reach as a small channel. Subscribe so you can be notified of future videos. And when you're ready, come check us out at AdConversion.com and join our community of 9,000 plus B2B marketers mastering ads with our free courses. Thanks so much. See you in the next one.